Good evening and a warm welcome to Clydesdale Cricket Club in Glasgow for Long Hop Down Under. It's only been 3 days since our last show, but so much has happened in a record-breaking World Cup week. Centuries for Moeen Ali, for Shaiman Anwar and for Shikhar Dhawan could not eclipse the might of Chris Gayle, whose 215 against Zimbabwe propelled him into the annals of Cricket World Cup history, the highest ever score in the tournament. And don't let anyone tell you that the associates aren't also playing their part in this World Cup. Earlier today, Ireland narrowly scraped past the UAE to maintain their 100% record in what must surely be one of the matches of the tournament, an absolute thriller in Brisbane at the Gabba. Less to cheer about for Scotland, unfortunately, in their defeat to England. But can they bounce back tonight against a different kind of old enemy, Afghanistan? Well, we'll hear the views of our studio guests. We also have an exclusive interview with former Afghan coach Kabir Khan. And Stirling County are in the house, our team of the week, taking part later in the Bowl-Off Challenge. Now, you can give us your view at home as well by tweeting us at QTV_sports and using the usual hashtag #FollowScotland. Now, as an opening batsman for Scotland, our first guest is well versed in the dark arts of Scotland's opponents tonight. He was also curiously nominated once as one of Scotland's most eligible bachelors. Gird your loins, ladies, and welcome Fraser Watts. Welcome to the show, Fraser. Have a seat, please. Scotland's most eligible bachelor, they tell me. How did you come upon this particular honour?
It was my mother. She decided I need to get married off. No, it was our PR company at the time when I was playing for Scotland needed somebody to become or go into this competition, whatever you call it. And I unfortunately was the only person at that time without a girlfriend, so I was pushed forward. And,
pushed forward for it. I've been trying to get into that Scotland on Sunday poll for many years without any success at all, I might add, unfortunately. Let's turn our attention immediately to the England game. It wasn't the happiest experience for Scotland, but I think fair to say some mixed fortunes. There was some good and some bad. What was your reading of the game?
Yeah, I think it was one of those unfortunate games in the fact that Scotland went into it not as the massive underdogs as we usually do in these games, and I think that suits us. We went into the game with the media saying, England aren't playing very well, we should beat them. Almost went in as equal favourites, which is just a killer, I think, for the guys. They went in with this sort of tag of they should give these guys a run for the money, and the fact of the matter is England are a good side. They had a couple of bad games which didn't help, and then suddenly Scotland were expected to beat them, which just had things gone well, had England had an off day, Scotland had a good day, potentially, but it was a really, really tough ask.
They seemed a little bit caught in the headlights, I would have said, in the first half of their bowling innings. England got to 172 without loss, obviously. Do you think they were just a little nervous on the big stage? What do you put that down to?
A little bit of that, but I think they were a bit unlucky as well. I mean, I hate to say unlucky because we seem to say that quite a lot in Scotland, but I think the ball didn't move as much. You look at the New Zealand game, the first 10 overs of that, the ball swung around corners. In the England game, it didn't move at all, really, which really hurt us, I think, quite a lot. We got the ball first up, got the first use of the wicket and the conditions, and it didn't really do what it was expected to do. Owen Morgan said he would have bowled first as well, and it's almost one of those bad tosses to win, I suppose. But yeah.
To my mind, there seemed to be a little bit of holding back in the field, and maybe a couple of chances that fielders were taking on the bounce rather than maybe going for it in a way that we've seen Australia and New Zealand really go for it in the field. Would that be fair?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, I think that's potentially a little bit harsh, but these guys are under a lot of pressure and they are nervous, especially after the first game against New Zealand, which didn't go that well either. But they're a committed bunch, and these things sometimes do happen. The first X amount of overs in a game, people are a little bit nervous, a bit unsure, and as I suppose you saw, if you go into games with that mentality, it can hurt you a little bit. You drop catches and midfield and stuff.
On the batting side, the openers, the top four, haven't really got into their stride. You know, as an opening batsman yourself for Scotland, what does it feel like when you go out? When you went out, for instance, the 2007 World Cup, what's particular about being an opening batsman?
It's good fun. I always think it's a great opportunity because generally the bowlers aren't warmed up. You generally get a few looseners if you're lucky, and get a few away early on. But I think it's a good opportunity. I mean, we've got a great top four, top five. I mean, well, the whole backline is very good, but I think our top 2 or 3 batters are quite explosive. Cal McLeod especially. If he gets going, he can really set us up for a big score. And hopefully tonight or the next couple of games he'll do that because he's played so well the last couple of years, and he's certainly due a big score, and I think he'll hopefully get one soon.
A couple of images of you there on screen at the moment, opening for Scotland. When you look back, when you see those images, what are your fondest recollections?
It was great fun, just being amongst the world's best, playing in the West Indies, which was absolutely outstanding, and just I think people don't realise the current squad, they put a lot of work in behind the scenes, a lot of work that goes unseen, and I think it's just a good opportunity for guys to actually showcase what they can do and do it on a big stage on TV, and it really sort of culminates a lot of hard work that's gone in the road before.
We'll talk a little bit more about Afghanistan later on, but they're tough opponents for Scotland. But I think you can agree with this, if you like, a really good test of where Scotland are at the moment. Do you think that's fair?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, Afghanistan, Ireland, and us, I think, have been the top associate teams over the last however many years. We've also had tough battles against them, and it's almost a case actually of tonight. There's probably more pressure on the guys because tonight's a game we need to win and we have to win because if we don't win tonight, then we're suddenly 3 down with nothing to show for it, and it becomes a very tough tournament. But I'm very confident that the guys can win. That they're, I think, peaking very nicely. Although the games haven't gone that well so far, I think the signs seem to show that they are ready for a big game, and hopefully that'll be tonight. Well,
to some extent, Scotland's World Cup starts tonight.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, the Scotland team headed south again to Dunedin, their spiritual home from home in this World Cup. And like all good news reporters, our very own Nick Rugby has been out on the streets gauging the mood of the fans.
Biggest game in the tournament, do you think?
I think so, although you never know what they could do against Sri Lanka. But yeah, I mean, I suppose on paper you'd say Afghanistan was the game they would try and hope to win. I think we need to bat better and not try and score so quickly at the beginning because we've got the players and we just put ourselves under pressure by losing wickets. So I think we're in a good shout.
After the qualifying tournament last year, they did a really good job there. When we look at the fixture list we've got for this one, the minimum return is a win against Afghanistan. Anything else is a bonus, possibly better performances against in the subsequent games, but the one tomorrow, that's the biggie for us.
After they turned them over for 60 last time round, so yes, let's hope that we're in for a win at last.
Helps that we're in a place that's got a lot of Scots connections, and the crowd will be slightly different to what we normally face when we play the Afghanistan team.
I think so, yes, although the weather at the moment, as you can see, is a bit more Dundee than Dunedin, but I think that probably benefit the Scottish guys. I don't think they'll enjoy playing in it, but they're probably more used to playing in this sort of conditions here.
I don't think they've played anywhere near their potential, and I think both New Zealand and England showed that when they're getting close, some of the batsmen don't use their best asset, and that's the brain between their ears.
Prediction?
Scotland win the toss, bat first, 280, roll them for 220.
The top 4 are good players, 1 or 2 of the bowlers are good bowlers, and they should be able to do it.
As long as one of the batters does come off, we hopefully should win.
I would think we'll get 270, 280, and we're good in the field, and our bowling's okay. So I think we'll win by about 15 runs.
Oh, well, confidence there from the Scotland fans. Great to see such travelling support, some well-kent faces from Scottish cricket. They're looking, I have to admit, a little bit rosy of cheek. They're certainly enjoying themselves. Fraser, can Scotland, or how much can Scotland use that home support advantage to unsettle Afghanistan?
I think they definitely can. I think it's quite crucial they get off to a good start. As I said before, the first 10 overs give the crowd something to cheer about. Hopefully blast a few sixes or blast a couple of wickets out and really get the crowd going and give them something to cheer about, and then hopefully then they can give Scotland something back to feed off when they're playing the rest of the game.
Let's see if that's the case. Ladies and gentlemen, for now, Fraser Watts. Now, if a prerequisite of being an iconic Scottish athlete is having an amazing Barnet, then our next guest is surely up there with the likes of Souness and Alan Rough in the pantheon of Scottish greats. He's a British, European and Commonwealth medalist at 400 metres and a little shorter round the back and sides these days. Please welcome Brian Whittle.
All right.
Good, thanks.
Thanks for the hair.
Take a seat, that's all right. Oh, we're going to see some of it in a minute.
Excellent.
It
was the style of the times, and it was very attractive to women.
I was going to say, like, there's some greats out there. There's some greats out there with hair. Like I can remember watching you at the Kelvin Hall, bouncing around with such volume, and
can I just say
one of the abiding memories.
You're saying that with too much of a glint in your eye. Can I just tell you that?
Brian, thanks very much for coming on the show. You are yourself a big cricket fan. I know you've been following the tournament. We were just talking there about Scotland and England and stepping up onto the world stage.
Yep.
You've had to do that yourself. What's it like?
Well, it's like a step up at any that kind of level is a difficult one. You think you know what you're doing. At the end of the day, you're still only running around the track the same as it ever was, but it's a completely different mindset, and it's a completely different ladder. You step from the top of a ladder to the bottom of the next ladder, and you're up against people who, you know, are there to destroy you, and it takes a little bit of time to get used to the sort of nuances at that level.
Sometimes, unfortunately, it's your own teammates that seem out to destroy you.
I know it's coming.
You know it's coming. We've got a very famous clip I'd like to show, and you can tell us your thoughts on this after we see it.
And Brian Whittle now, with the test of his young life. And a shoe came flying off then. And I think it was possibly Brian Whittle's. A shoe went flying across the track. Almost impossible to tell who's lost the shoe, but which seems to making no difference to any of them. And here he goes. Look to being roared on by the crowd, but Black is getting there. And Black is bringing Britain home to yet another gold. Superb, superb. A magnificent run. And he dances in triumph. And they deserve the celebration. 2 reserves in the team, and they still got the gold medal.
Some great moments there. I mean, first of all, a round of applause for the gold medal. So winning such a great team is fantastic. To do it with one shoe on is sublime, surely. What was running through your mind? It was Chris Akabusi. Am I right in thinking it was Chris Akabusi?
I was actually, he didn't take the blame for it until I was actually talking to him yesterday. Believe it or not, he was got up the M6 in his cardboard, but so he phones me. But yeah, he didn't take the blame for it. I blamed Vladimir Krylov, the Russian, live on telly, and Akabusi standing next to me going, "Oh yes, yes." it was him. But I think, you know, I mean, the whole history of that race. I mean, I only found out 45 minutes before the final that I was running, and then, as I said, you know, when the shoe comes off, I mean. People ask me, how did you know you could run with one shoe? And not something I've practiced often, I have to tell you. But you know, you've only got 2 options, run or stop. The stop's not one of the options. You know, and I was fortunate, it was the inside foot, so I could get round the bend. After a couple of strides, worked out I can make a reasonable fist of it, and just, I knew in my head what I had to do was sit on the Russian and give the baton to Pretty Boy Black in the last leg and let him deal with it. So.
Well, it worked out. It's a fantastic gold medal. I mean, just translating that to the situation that Scotland have found themselves over the last couple of games, 12 for 4 against New Zealand and England at 172 for naught. How do you, what is it you use to readjust your game plan, your mentality to overcome adversity?
I mean, that's sport. You know, if you knew what was going to happen every time, it would be boring. And I think in sport, what you have to do is remember that you've done. I mean, I've done thousands of training sessions before I go to a race, so I really shouldn't have to think about how to run. It's what we call unconscious competence.
Yep.
For the clever people in the audience. It's you don't have to think. Most of the good races, none of them. Oh, okay. Most of the races, the good races that you run, you don't remember. I mean, I remember that race the same way anybody else does by watching it on television. I could not tell you what it was, what I felt like when I was running. Just afterwards, you pass the baton over and the Whittle comes back in again. So you've got to go back to that point.
Come back in on applause, Peter. Okay. Yeah. Just count us in, please. 2 minutes, folks.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Apologies for that break in transmission, a technical glitch, but we'll pick up where we left off. Brian, since retiring, you've done a number of things, not least coaching your own daughters, in fact, but these days you're something of an entrepreneur, is that right?
Once again, I tie so well on my shoulders. We can go there and start really showcasing what people can do.
It's a platform for coaches to share training videos, good practice.
We were asked by the European Coaches Association if we could build a collaboration communication platform. We actually already built it. Coaching was always going to be part of it, but I thought it would be further down the line. But it seems that coaching in clubs is the way that the people want to use the platform.
Right, so I know it's something of a labour of love for you and a very noble aim at that. If you want details on Demon Sport, you can go to demonsport.com where you can sign in for free. QTV Sports also has their own Long Hop Down Under group in there, so if you search for that and request to join, you can see all of our videos and highlights uploaded there. For now, ladies and gentlemen, Brian Whittle. More from our series Home and Away, and earlier this week I tracked down former Afghanistan coach Kabir Khan to his farmhouse in Peshawar province in Pakistan, from where he gave us his insights into the current state of Afghan cricket and also recalled some happy memories from his time at Stirling County.
They were lovely memories because these were those are the starting days of my coaching career, and Stirling at that time was in Division 2. I had to play a bit as well. I was too old to play, but I tried my best. They qualified for Division 1. Lovely people there, to be honest. Lovely people all around Scotland.
Turning to Wednesday's match, Scotland against Afghanistan, so two countries that you have intimate knowledge of. What have been your impressions of Afghanistan so far in this tournament?
Well, Afghanistan are playing good cricket, and I think they are playing good cricket for the last 3-4 years. But I'm very surprised, and I'm very happy the way Scotland has come through after qualifying for the World Cup. I always thought that it will be very difficult for Afghanistan to beat Scotland in Scotland, but it will be very difficult for Scotland to beat Afghanistan in UAE or Asia. But when they came to UAE and played these last two games against Afghanistan, they proved that they're a changed side, and they are very good and they're up for it.
What does the next generation of Afghan cricketer look like?
Well, obviously they're fortunate, very fortunate that they've got a lot of players coming in, and the streets are full of cricketers. All the young kids are playing cricket in the streets, and obviously wherever they find a space in the fields or anywhere. The craze is there, players are there, but it's the duty of the officials or the government or the cricket board now that the things in Pakistan are changing. The refugees are leaving the country, and the basic cricket and the basic coaching which they used to get here in Pakistan, that might not be available in the future.
Let's turn to Pakistan, your home country. They've had a little bit of a shaky start to their World Cup campaign.
Yeah, they have, and obviously sometimes a shaky start is a better start, because then when you have a flowing start and you're winning all your games, and all of a sudden a knockout stage comes in and you lose that game and you're out of the tournament. So I personally think that this will give a bit of time to the boys, to the management and the coach to prepare well. It is tough time as well. It's not easy to come back from these conditions which they are in now.
Just before we leave you, Kabir, any words for the members here at Stirling County Cricket Club or for the Scots over in New Zealand?
Well, to be honest, I'm still missing them. I'm planning to come this summer. I always promise them, John Taylor especially, I always tell them that I'm coming to see him, and I never do because I am always busy, very busy when I go to UK, especially Scotland. This time, I promise that I'm coming and I'll see all you guys and have a cup of tea with you guys.
Kabir, thanks so much for joining us. Such a lovely man, Kabir Khan. We have to thank his gardener as well, who was holding his iPhone for the duration of that Skype interview. Brilliant bit of improvisation with technology. Fraser, Kabir reckons Scotland have the edge. Talked a little bit about the conditions there. Do you think he's right tonight?
I think it's pretty even. I think both teams will go into the game with a lot of confidence and expecting to win. Pretty evenly matched teams. I think my partisan side says Scotland are going to win.
I should hope so.
Yeah. But also it's very evenly matched game. Both sides need to win. And yeah, I think it's the team that holds their nerve the longest. Simple stuff like executing basics will do the rest.
Brian, just on the subject of big game mentality there, Kabir says that Pakistan shouldn't worry. They've had 2 losses and a shaky start is actually a good start because he wants to peak at the business end of the tournament. Can you buy into that, or is he putting a very positive coach's spin on things?
No, I hated heats. I was rubbish in the heats, and basically all you have to do is get through. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how badly you play in the rounds. See if you get through. Slate's wiped.
I think that's England's philosophy as well.
Well, time to find out if our next guest shares that sentiment. As the regional development manager for the International Cricket Council here in Europe, he's very much at the heart of creating a bigger, better global game. Please welcome Nick Pink.
Thanks, Jack. Nice to see you.
Have a seat, please. Good to see you playing a straight bat, as I'm sure you'll continue to do for the rest of this interview.
I thought it was appropriate.
Peaking at the right time, we're talking about there. I mean, just very quickly, as an Englishman who must have been in the depths of despair in the warm-up to this World Cup, all not lost just yet for England?
No, I guess not. And I think the game against Scotland was probably, from an English point of view, a good turnaround at probably the right time. And let's see where they get to after this. But I think confidence was pretty low. A victory is a victory at the end of the day. It'll be interesting to see how they turn it around at the weekend.
What's your reading of the game tonight between Scotland and Afghanistan?
I think it's really well poised. It's an exciting game, isn't it? I mean, both teams 0 from 2, unfortunately. Both have come pretty close on both accounts. My feeling is that probably you'd kind of favour Afghanistan in the bowling side, but then you probably favour Scotland from batting. So really equal. From a neutral's perspective, I think it's a really well-placed game. And the second associate match within 24 hours that could be really, really close.
Well, I mean, that takes us quite neatly into your role in development, and it's great to see a day where the associates are the centre of attention at the World Cup. Did you see much of the Ireland-UAE game this morning?
Little bits and pieces, which was good. I mean, came up obviously today to kind of get to here, but saw parts of the game. Amazing finish, absolutely amazing finish. I mean, you could not have asked for a tighter game. And I think the Irish did really well to get across the line. I think probably with 20 overs to go, I think probably a lot of people were sort of pushing towards UAE and then to get the game coming back. So it's exactly what you want. I mean, from a tournament perspective, for promotion of associate cricket, for global cricket, it's exactly what you want. And I kind of hope the same for tonight. I hope, again, the game promotes cricket really well. It promotes cricket really well in Scotland. And I think it could be a great opportunity.
It would be remiss of me not to ask you your views on the growing debate around the position of associates at the Cricket World Cup. I'm not going to ambush you with a series of questions that I know you can't answer. But how I would like to characterise it is that the debate seems to have moved from the fringes of the game to the mainstream. And it's a conversation that a lot of people are having now. How much can that impact on the ICC decision making going forward, and particularly in relation to the reduction in the number of teams at the next Cricket World Cup?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a hotly discussed political debate, not just in the cricketing world, much wider now in the sporting world. It's difficult to answer in the sense that decisions are made by powers far more responsible and bigger than me. But what I would say is that, working in the development programme as I do, one of the things that you take great pride in is seeing Scotland, seeing Ireland, seeing the Netherlands, seeing Denmark, Italy, whoever the country is, and certainly from a European slant from my perspective, doing well on the global stage. And that means the preparations are right. And if you look at the preparations that Scotland and Ireland have taken in this tournament, just taking a European slant, they're a professional team, they're a professional outfit. Just listening to Grant Bradburn this afternoon on a VT clip that I saw, perhaps on your YouTube channel, I think might have been, the composure, the composure that he had, and the calmness of his message was great. And if you look at that and reverse it to the way that the Irish celebrated when they beat England in 2011 in Bangalore, and you look at their reaction from the West Indies game, completely different. So I think it just shows that actually the professional nature associated to associate cricket now is far higher than it used to be.
And Fraser, the same would be true of Afghanistan. They're now at a stage where, in as much as tonight's match is a must-win for Scotland, it's a must-win for Afghanistan as well. And they can be a fiery bunch, as you know from personal experience.
That's right. Yeah, we've had a fair few battles, I think is probably the best way to put it. Yeah, they're a confident team, a cocky team. They're a feisty team. They come at the opposition. They go in their face, and when we played against them, we were certainly of the same sort of view. We went hard at them, had a fair few verbal altercations on the pitch, and I mean, it's all, I think, within the spirit of cricket and everything, but there was a fair few.
I can remember particularly the I-Cup final in Dubai in 2010 got quite feisty. Matty Parker and Simon Smith were getting it right up with Shazad at one point. You surprised, Nick, that Shazad hasn't been picked for this Afghanistan team? He seems to be the kind of fellow for whom the word pugnacious was invented.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people remember that switch hit, which went for six, kind of went all viral all around the internet. So yeah, he is a name that people miss.
Well, we'll come back very briefly, but we need to move on. But for the time being, Nick Pink, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, hurry through we must, and it's time to meet our Club of the Week, Stirling County. They look very confident arriving at Clydesdale tonight. They'd obviously watched clips of Clydesdale's own performance in the Bowl-Off Challenge last week. Let's see how they got on.
Hi, Ian Shaw, Stirling County. Right arm round the park. This one's for Anton Ehlers, all the way in New Zealand. I want a Nico.
Good evening, Gavin Anderson, right arm over. See you later, batsman.
Hi, it's Rukman. Right arm over, in out.
Philip Mitchell, right arm over, whoosh!
Hi, Shelley McGee, right arm wide.
Gav, 3 points, your reaction?
Not very good, but I'll blame it on the Glasgow weather.
Everybody's got something to say about the Glasgow weather on this show. I don't really understand that. Delighted to be joined on the sofa by Rod Turnbull from Stirling County. Thanks for coming on. I think Ruckman really got you out of a hole there. That was looking like a duck.
Yeah, it was also almost a resignation issue for the chairman here, but I think we'll survive for another day. Yeah. Well done, Ruckman.
Thanks very much for joining us on the sofa. We've asked you on because it's an exciting time just now for Stirling County and the developments that are going on with Cricket Scotland. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, we have a project, 3 parties involved, Cricket Scotland, Stirling Council and Stirling County, to develop a new national cricket centre at Stirling. We moved there 2007, fantastic location. I think even when we moved there, we saw that it had the potential to be much more than just a club ground. So the 3 parties have been working closely together, all very much for the project. The detail work's now going on, mainly between the council and Cricket Scotland, all the usual stuff you would expect with a major project, planning issues, finance, access. But we're very hopeful that we'll come to a good conclusion.
What are the sort of timescales involved?
Good question. I mean, the best I could give you is if things, from what I understand, if things progress as they're meant to, we're talking about perhaps building something next year. But I think there's a fair amount of detail to be got through yet.
Nick, how important is it for Scotland's ongoing development to have this national centre?
I think it's crucial, absolutely crucial, and its location and everything else is ideal, I think, for where it sits within Scotland geographically. But to have a facility like that is a hub for national cricket is so important, and it was recognised by our ICC Development Committee just in November last year, where provisional money was put aside for the project. And I think all top associate countries, the ability to be potentially investing in this facility is absolutely crucial.
Just finally, for you, what kind of example can this set in terms of what Ireland are doing as well for other nations? Because in your remit, you're seeing a flourishing of cricket in countries like Italy and a refocus in countries like Denmark as well. What's the next year like for you in terms of trickling that down to the other affiliate nations?
So I think, associate and affiliate countries, I think it's setting a kind of high benchmark, and I think this is what you see with the World Cup as well, with Ireland, Scotland and Afghanistan and UAE competing so well against 4 members and against each other. It sets a good benchmark for other countries to try and get towards. And I think the other side of this as well is it doesn't happen just overnight. And you look at the secret of the success doesn't happen by just having a sort of small group of players. It's your development program and everything that kind of sits within it. And Scotland have been recognised this year. They've just received the European reward for their overall development program. And that's something that hasn't just been in the last 12 months. That goes back quite a few years. And I think you've seen a number of success areas. The Summer Squad programme, new initiative that's just hopefully coming on with the Curriculum for Excellence project, which we hope will get cricket into primary and secondary schools across Scotland. That's how the success can be embedded within a national system, if you like, and that's a great model for Italy and Denmark and other sort of countries that are looking to aspire and get to.
Well, that's how I got into cricket, was at a primary school as well. Nick, thank you very much. Rod, thanks very much for coming on the programme. Good luck with the project. We wish it, of course, all the best, and we look forward to seeing the next stage of the development.
Thank you.
And to your team, to Stirling County, well done on their performance in the Ball-Off Challenge. Just time very quickly before we wrap up to ask our guests their prediction for tonight, as quickly as you can, Fraser.
Scotland by 10 wickets.
Scotland by 10 wickets. Love it. Great confidence. Brilliant.
Scotland by 9.
Scotland by 9.
Scotland by 3.
Okay. Rod?
Scotland by 35.
Scotland by 35. Okay, as opposed to 35 wickets, one must only presume. My thanks to my guests tonight, to Fraser Watts, Brian Whittle, Nick Pink and Rod Turnbull. Just a quick glimpse at where you can see tonight's coverage, starting over on Sky Sports World Cup right now, is live ball-by-ball coverage, pre-match build-up from 9 p.m. tonight, highlights throughout the day on Sky Sports World Cup tomorrow as well, and if you're watching in Scotland, then STV has their own highlights programme tomorrow, Thursday the 26th at 11:20 GMT. Live scores and of course all the other Cricket World Cup results at icc-cricket.com, and exclusive content behind the scenes with the Scotland camp at youtube.com/Cricket Scotland TV. My thanks to our partners, DM Hall, Prosperity Financial Solutions, HF Electrical and the University of West of Scotland. Thanks to our hosts Clydesdale, to everybody here in the bar tonight and to you at home for watching. We'll be back at the same time next week, Wednesday next week, previewing the Bangladesh match with former Scotland bowler John Blaine, broadcaster Alison Walker and Scottish Rugby's Duncan Hodge. Until then, remember the hashtag, follow Scotland, support the team. Good luck tonight, Scotland. From everybody here at Long Hop Down Under, have a very good evening.